Hello everybody and welcome along once again to another edition of the Rebel Wide Ball. And I suppose in terms of county championships, we'll get in there. I believe this is kind of the last weekend for senior championships all over the country, and then the month of November you're talking about the provincial championships, and the provincial club championships, and we'll probably have a word about them a little later on. But first of all, and where else to begin except the incredible football feast that should welcome us to Paudie on Sunday. The first match is a Senior A football decided between Knocknagree and St. Michael's, and what a pairing. I think the first thing we can say about it is that it should be a good open game of football. Now I know we'll probably be led to believe that there won't be sweepers, but obviously there will. But it's not going to be whereby one crowd. This is a county final, and you don't win finals by going completely all out negative, so that won't be happening. Representing the Colchies, if you wish, we have Knocknagree, and what an incredible past 10 years it has been for them. I know there's absolutely great footballers in Knocknagree prior to this, and I remember maybe 20 or 30 years ago that they were one of the really exciting teams, but then they went through a bit of a lull, and 10 years ago John Fenton Daly, some of you will know him as JFD, he took over the side and he made the team for the first time, I think, on the 1st of New Year's Day in 2013. At that stage, Knocknagree were treading on the Duhallow circuit. They were a junior football team. Haven't been very successful, had reached semi-finals but haven't got over the line. I think the first competition they won was the Duke Cup, and that, for those of you who may not be totally familiar with what happens down in that neck of the woods, that is their junior football league. They like cups down there, the Nevin Cup, Duke Cup, Examiner Cup. But anyway, the Duke Cup, and when they won that, I think that the oldest guys in that team were about 24 years of age, and they were leaders back then, and 4 of them are still around the place. You have Caelan Buckley, who operates at full back, Denny Cooper goes right half back usually, Matthew Dilworth at centre half forward, and Dunham Heinen, he plays around midfield. He was the captain of that team. So then in 2014 they got to the Duhallow football final for the very first time in a long time. 2015 they won it. In 2017 they won the County Junior Football Championship, and that was the year they went all the way to the All-Ireland and won the All-Ireland. And then in 2019 they won the Intermediate A Football Championship, the Premier Football Championship in 2020, and here they are now in the Senior A Championship, just one victory, if you like, from being at the very top of the Cork Senior Football, or the Cork Football tree. It is without doubt been an incredible story. I suppose as well as the players I've mentioned, Owen McSweeney, who I believe played way back, he was a 16-year-old. Decoupling hadn't come in, well it was in, I think it was in back then, but it was only applied to under 16, and Owen, I think, was born on his birthday was the 31st of December, so he actually played, got 4 points in I think it was the first Duhallow final that they lost that one against Mill Street, a late Mark Ellis goal, you remember him, he was a Cork hurler. But anyway, he's there. Patrick Doyle is an outstanding goalkeeper. Then you Fintan O'Connor, the team captain, wing forward, and then Niall O'Connor corner forward. Since in that 10-year period up to right now, taking all forms of trophies of all shapes and sizes, leagues, championship, even though the Paudie O'Shea tournament, they won 23. Some record. Now, on Sunday they face St. Michael's, and I think these are a really resilient club, and I know that it's their 7th final in 10 years, and the previous 6 they have lost them. In the second grade of Cork football, they lost 5 of them at Premier Intermediate level, and when that was rechristened to be described as Senior A, they lost last year's final as well. And they keep coming back, and that tells you something about them. And it's not easy. I would say it's far easier to promote Gaelic games in small rural places than in the likes of Blackrock, because you have so many distractions, and they do operate under the shadow of the Blackrock hurlers down there. But look, they're there, and it's going to be a big ask for them, no doubt about it. I mean, some people say that they're favourites because of the fact that they've been bare so often. I'm not too sure that I buy into that. Their half-back line, well, no, this these defensive formations can change of Tomlin and Joe Golden and Alan O'Callaghan. Remember, he was involved with the hurling as well. Daniel Meany, Billy Kane and Andrew Murphy will be out around the middle, but it's all going to be about scoring, isn't it? And up front, Robbie Cotter, Adam Hennessy and Eric Hagerty in particular will be expected to do the business. I think it's a big game for them, of course it is, for the two teams, and it's absolutely impossible to call this one. A big day as well for the match referees. These are huge occasions for referees, a great honour for them, their club and their family, and James O'Regan from Lochroers, who originally a Mayo man, takes charge of the whistle in this one. And when that'll be done and dusted, and it will then be the senior battle between, maybe, I don't know whether I can call them age-old rivals, but right now they are. Nemo Rangers and St Finbarrs are the county champions. They've never beat Nemo in a county final, I believe, and haven't beat them in modern times either, over the past number of years. Nemo go into it as underdogs, but like what a record they have in their own right, 21 county championships, I mean, and some of those I've no doubt were won against the head. Like I think back in 1993, Bars were going for a double on that occasion as well. I mightn't be too right about that now, and they were completely obliterated in a poor final, it must be said, and Michael Commons got 2 points. He's a selector the next day. Bears only scored 4 points that day, but they have a really, really good team, and they deservedly won the hurling. There was no doubt about that. Where it's going to be won and lost, you could be arguing all day about this one. Sam Ryan, Jamie Burns and Colm Scully are really good full back line, and like how they will keep tabs on fellas like Barry O'Driscoll and particularly Luke Connolly. That's going to be important, and we saw last year Conor Horgan for Nemo. He came into the rankings big time and got a couple of great scores for them. But a Nemo team that has fellas like Brian Murphy, Kevin O'Donovan and Stephen Cronin in defence, like, won't it be foolhardy in the extreme to be betting against them? Paul Kerrigan is there if they need to bring him on. The new Vallon and O'Donovan will be out around the middle, and so will Barry Cripps. So, like, Nemo are celebrating their 100 years of existence. They've already won the city championship. I'm not going to say this will be the sweetest of all their victories, but by God, it'll be very close to it. But St Finbarrs, there's such a chance for them now to do the double. I don't know, does this drive you on, or is it a little noose around the neck? Unfortunately, we were never gifted enough to be up at that level. Ian Maguire and Owen Commons at midfield have been a formidable pairing, and like how they perform on the day is going to be a big one as well. But then, you've Stephen Sherlock, Killian Myers-Murray and Enda Dinny in particular, who's been really good for them, and fellas like Brian Hayes and Ethan Toomey. So look, I suppose if you have to make a call on it, you'd be saying, look, that this probably should be St Finbarrs Day. I hope there's a big crowd there. I hope there's a good atmosphere there. I am expecting a good game of football in those two. Alan Long, it's a big day for him, as I said, like James O'Regan. He's from the Arragdeen Rangers Club in Timoleague, and best wishes to him and their umpires and linesmen and all of that. So, if for the hurling, unfortunately, it was such a bad day, but you had the perfect pairing of the Rockies and the Bears. Here you have a perfect pairing now as well of the Bears and Nemo Rangers. So, I hope that as many football fans will get in there to watch it, because they will, like Nemo Rangers in a couple of their matches, particularly against Clonakilty and Cabaret Rangers, where their opponents were kind of containment exercise. Nemo didn't look good on those occasions, but the last day against Ballincollig, I tell you, they cut loose. They surprised me. I won't deny that. And so yeah, we're really, really looking forward to that. Then we're, in terms of the junior championships, we're moving on nicely, and there are 2 games in the junior A hurling, 2 games in the junior A football, semi-finals in the football, and of course this is a big competition because, well, the hurling is too, but the winners here go on and play in Munster. And who knows, maybe down the line that there's a cornerback lurking out there on one of the 14th left, thinking about David Clifford. Both games on Saturday, semi-finals on Saturday at 3 o'clock. in Kilworth you have Butterfin taking on Cove. For what it's worth, I think Butterfin may be the team that get over that one, but Cove will have a good season. And when they won the East, Cork was a big one for them. I heard somewhere that maybe they might be missing 1 or 2 players. I heard that the last day as well, and they won. And then the other one in Bantry, I think, is going to be the real big one between Orden and Kilmurray. And do we ever get 20 without offending people? But I think that's the big semi-final. Sometimes the winners of the big semi-final don't win the final, but anyway, I think that's the big one. And just to a slight fancy, I know Kilmurray have lost 1 or 2 abroad, but they had injured players the last day against St James's, and I think they may expect them to come back. And if they do, I think I'd fancy them in that one. The hurling, then there's 2 quarter-finals at 3 o'clock in Bandon, Ballinascarthy, the West Cork champions, playing Valley Rovers second team. Look, Ballinascarthy look very impressive against Newstone. They should have too much for a youthful Valley Rovers side. Ballinascarthy for the past couple of years have been always spoken about as a team that if they get out, they could go out of their division, that they'd be considered, as one of the market leaders, and I do think that. The other game at 3:30 in Bantier is between Drumtariff and Kilshannig, and first of all, look how close Drumtariff came to winning this championship last year. I think it was Mark Keane somebody got a late go for Ballygiblin, and you saw where Ballygiblin ended up, county champions, Munster champions, All-Ireland champions, and look, again this year another county. Drumtariff are a good side, but they were really disappointed about that, and if they have all those guys, and if there's any, I suppose, scars of defeat there, I expect them to win that one. But what, Kilshannig, incredible club, great community out there, and they won the Intermediate A football last week. There's 10 of them dual players, and they won the North Cork the week before in hurling for the very first time. So well done. I always say that, so do you. A good chairman is so important. A good chairperson. Will we ever learn? And John Geeney's a mighty man out there, and he's been at the helm for 4 years. A likeable, personable character, and obviously great leader. There's more than obviously John involved. If it was only him, it wouldn't work. So yeah, they're kind of the junior games. Now, do you remember I said at the start about the Munster Championships? We'll be really looking forward to those, and obviously there are 3 championships in each code, and Cork obviously will have representatives in the senior hurling. St Finbarrs are through to the semi-final against Ballyea from Clare, and you do remember Ballyea won last week, maybe against Air Oginis. That game goes on the 20th of November, 1:15 probably in Cusick Park. The senior footballers, they have to play a quarter-final, whether it is Nemo the Bears against Clonmel Commercials. And my God, we won't want to underestimate them after what happened a couple of years ago. And that game goes on a Saturday night, the 12th of November in Porkykeeve at 7:30. In the intermediate hurling in Escara, if they're still in existence, if they can be still found. What a way to win, and what an incredible way to lose. They always say, they don't always say, but you know the way the replays kind of don't live up to the first game. Well, this did. And Colm Casey, whatever he may do again, they were 2 points down against Ballinasig in the semi-final with 3 minutes remaining. Ball hit the post out in the back of the net. There was about 6 minutes gone the last day at 65, and probably the ref said to himself, will I let them take it? And it was bobbling around the place. He came across and he just pulled at the back of the net. Oh, must be absolute heartbreak for Castlemartyr, but for Inniscarra, and I know they've been around, they've been at intermediate level since 1975. And you know what, if you stay up there and stay battling, and my God, if you stay there to the very end, Rishi Sunak would be proud of these fellas staying there. We get there, and they're now in the semi-final of the intermediate hurling, where they play the Tipperary, the Waterford champions. That game goes on Saturday the 19th. That game is away. Kanturk, after their win in the football last week, they were the better side. Let's be honest about it, and they probably will argue that they probably should have won this. Maybe I better be careful because of the people that they beat. Sometimes stupidity. My God, it dominates us. But anyway, they play Kildare out of Clare, and that's up in Clare, and anybody who thinks that's going to be an easy one, we forget about it. In the junior hurling, Ballygiblin are back in the Munster again because of the regrading set up in Cork, and they play Grange Mockler. Ballyneal, I think they're a Tipperary team down kind of on the Kilkenny-Waterford border, and that game goes on the 5th, I think, yeah? That'll be Saturday week at 1:15 in Tipperary. And the junior footballers, we're a long way from it, but Cork got through to the semi-final, and the 4 teams that I mentioned earlier on will play the winners of Clare and Tipperary in that one. So that's that. Moving on to Camogie, and well done to Shandoon. Retained their championship last week in a great game against a gallant and a young Sarsfield side. But the game that was played on Saturday in terrible conditions was the intermediate final, and Ahabolog playing their 3rd final, 8 points down after half time on a wet Saturday evening. There's a saying in soccer, like, can they do it in Stoke on a Tuesday night? It must be an awful spot. Well, could they do it in Castle Water on a wet Saturday? Well, they did, and they came back into it, and they got the equalising point from Cleena Healy, I think, in the 6th minute. She scored 9 points in all, and the replay now is on this Saturday, 1 o'clock in Ovens. Again, the players that played the last day will be expected to step up to the plate, and players like Miriam Cotter, Mavering, Katie McCarthy, Emma Flanagan, Ciara McCarthy, and of course the aforementioned Cleena Healy will be so important. But Blackrock, they'll be disappointed every time you give it up an 8-point lead. Then there was about 4 or 5 of them involved with Shandoon and Sunday, but the break should do them the world of good, and players like Roisin De Fruita, Liam McKeough, Anna Lucy, Michelle Murphy, Caitlin Hickey, Hayley Ryan in particular, and Kate Linigan. I think, I'm not too sure what way to call that one. Will it be as close as we had with the semi-final at the replay between Castlemartyr and Enniscarrow? I don't know, but hopefully it will be a nice day for them for that game on Saturday. Then on Monday we've got the Junior A, the Junior B, and the special under 13. Sorry, not 13. 13 aside, I suppose, is the Junior C Championship. The Junior B one goes on at 12 o'clock in Castle Road, and that's between Ahada and everything, Youghal. Now, I think Ahada would be the favourites there, to be fair about it, but it's an East Cork derby, and it's amazing how these finals are on Monday, so there'll be no jazzing for these individuals. And then after that game at 2:30, going to be some battle, I'm telling you, on the Junior A between Ballinhassig and Tracton. Now Ballinhassig have a number of girls that, Ballinhassig were operated at a higher level before, and a number of those girls are back with them, a number of those players. So that should be an interesting one. I think I went for Ahada. I go for Ballinhassig in this one. And finally then the 13 side one, that goes on in Gwinnett Monday as well at 12 o'clock between Mill Street and Kildare. And for what is what, we go for the Kildare girls in that. So the great finals. I'm just thinking about the licensing laws. Will they end the Monday clubs, or will they be just a continuation? You can, and they won't be in for any finals this year. These licensing laws will be in next year. They'll be brought in specifically for, I'd say, for county final month of September maybe. Anyway, moving on to soccer, and I suppose if you're an Arsenal or United fan, you're going to be talking about the 2 teams that are in action tonight. Arsenal play at PSV Eindhoven, doing well in Munster side in Europe, and Man United would have Ronaldo back after his difference of opinion with the manager when he decided he wasn't going to come on in a league game, and he was stormed off. But anyway, he suffered his punishment or whatever he does. There's a divided opinion about this. Let's get on with it. He'll be back in business, whether he plays at the weekend now or not, I don't know. So moving on then to the Premier League, which every now and then, I meet somebody and said, they'll be talking about this, but I'm not saying everybody's talking about it, forget it. But I think people, that just because, maybe we're predominantly into Gaelic games, that can't have an interest in other sports, and that's not the way it is. People are usually interested in everything, and there's a big following for the Premier League. Leicester play Man City on Saturday. City, of course, who drew last night, but they're through to the next round of the Champions League, so you'd be expecting them to get over that one. That Leicester one is down at the bottom job. Spurs, they came from behind to get a draw. They probably thought they had a winner against Sporting Lisbon in their group game. It should get them through, but it's a big match against Bournemouth because they've lost, I think, the last 2 league games. Brighton take on Chelsea. Graham Potter, he's the manager who I believe was never at a Champions League game, and he's led Chelsea now to the knockout stages. Newcastle and Aston Villa, and of course Villa, who fired their manager Steven Gerrard. Somebody tell me they took him back home on the bus after it. But anyway, that's a game. And of course Liverpool, their away form was abysmal until last night when they had a 3-0 win over Ajax in Amsterdam. They take on Leeds, who've lost their last 4 games. Sunday, the 2 big ones are Arsenal taking on Nottingham Forest. Arsenal out in front by 2 points. Nottingham Forest after the big win over Liverpool. Well, this is going to be a real test of them now. And Man United, of course, taking on West Ham. Moving on to rugby, and do you remember we talked to you about last week the game between Leinster and Munster? Well, by all accounts, Leinster won it again, of course they did, but Munster showed signs that there is an improvement there, that they're getting there. They have a lot of injuries, they used a lot of young players, and they're playing well. Now, at this juncture in November, you have do they call them the November Internationals, the Autumn Internationals, and Ireland have 3 games against South Africa, Fiji and Australia, so some of the provincial players are away, and that gives other players an opportunity. And I'm hoping that when Munster take on Ulster in Saturday night's game at Thomond Park, that I'd like to see Jack Crowley, obviously because he's neighbour, maybe getting a chance at old half. He's kind of playing full back and centres the last day. Yeah, so that's it. I suppose finally before we go, the World of Gaelic Games in West Cork were absolutely saddened beyond belief at the passing of an incredible talent, Paudie Griffin. Some of you will be obviously very well at this of this news, and last night the amount of people that turned up at his home to pay their respects. He was a real genius on a football pitch, and that's probably the part I talk about. That's the part I saw of him. He won 2 county championships. He won one at 19 in 1996 when they had that great win over UCC, and he was really good in Seamus Moynihan. And then in 2009 he got a point against the Bears. But every time he won possession, there was a kind of a buzz around the place as to what would happen. He never took the easy option of flicking it off. And I know that when he was inside, if he was inside the scoring range, you could see umpires going for the flag. He was a gorgeous player to watch. He was such an unassuming person. And for people that met him after, what he did, the deeds on the pitch were just deeds on the pitch, and that was it. And there were, he was so much more than a footballer, and I think that when he became a teacher in Ballincollig Community School, and down there last night there was a number of parents that turned up to pay respects of what he did, and that was maybe something we didn't know about. But look, he was an amazing athlete. He was the difference between victory and defeat on so many occasions for his beloved Clonakilty, and to all his family. Obviously we send our respects, and I know that they will get some consolation by the outpouring of, I suppose, sadness and grief. Clonakilty is a big football town, it's a big sporting town, it's a huge community based existence. Padraigh Griffin touched all, I think, threads of life in Clonakilty, and there's no doubt that we ask that his gentle soul rest in peace, because he was a gentle soul, a gentle person, but so talented as a teacher, so talented as a person, and so talented as a Gaelic footballer. So until the next time, take care, and whatever your sporting choices are, hope you have a good weekend.